Okay, we got this clip right here. The little leg's gonna face over this way. And that slot right there. We got our filter. May leave this one out also. It's starting to rip. It's got a little tip on it that's open. A little tip that's closed. The triangle is going to fit over here. The closed end is going to fit down. Now, on this one, we have what we got here. Quarter-inch ball goes right here. The rest of them are 218. And let's see. Got one there. 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 I believe that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. Right here. Right there. Okay, this is for 1990 and up, I believe. So let me take a picture of this, and we'll put the balls in on the earlier style, and we'll get a picture of that. Okay, it says some models have a ball here, some models don't have a ball here, and it's not showing a ball here. So somebody may have swapped this valve body out at some point. Okay, for 87 to 89, it says it takes a quarter-inch ball here, 218, 218, 218, 218, 218, 218, 218, 218. No, it does not show one here. And a 281 thousandths ball right here. Okay, I'm gonna go double check, make sure what we got. I mean, there's so many variations on these things. I'm gonna make sure everything's copacetic, see what I can find out. Okay, we have a filter that goes right here. These filters are cracked on this one. They did not give me new ones in the kit, so I'm not gonna be sticking them in, but this one goes here. And I'll be pulling these back out. We got another one here. It goes right here. And another one. It goes right there. Spring in our plunger. Goes right there. This spring. This plunger goes right here. This little castle looking thing sits right here, and a 1/4 inch ball, I believe it's 1/4 inch. Yes, a 1/4 inch ball goes right there. Alright, get the next section. Okay, I was wrong. The rounded edge goes up in this corner over here, not the pointed end. And appears we may have a valve body out of a Land Cruiser. So we're going to put it together the way it was, because it seemed to have been working. You can get yourself in trouble on these Toyota valve bodies really quickly. There's hardly any information out there on them, and just because the hole is a certain size in the plate does not mean a damn thing on a Toyota. Just put your separator plate on here. I don't use gaskets. If you want to use your gaskets, you need to match up every stinking hole. I mean every hole, before you put that gasket on there, because there's that many of them out there. If you put the wrong gasket on, you're gonna have troubles. So I don't even run gaskets on my Toyotas. I never have. They work just fine. I'm gonna leave that filter out because it's ripping and I don't want it going up inside my valve body. I did not get filters in this kit, and it's not that big of a deal if you don't use them. Pretty much you got long bolts and shorter bolts. There are a couple of different ones in there, mixed in there, but for the most part that's the way it is. Let's see. Got going on here. This one goes back here. Alright, we'll start in the front. Inch 682. These all three should be the same. All these should be the same. 980. All these up here should be the same. Inch 690. This one here, inch 294, and these two back here should be the same. And this one over here is 982. Alright, our separator plate number on this valve body is 43. So we're going to see how it works. And you'll know that if it works the way it's supposed to, that check ball configuration is okay for this setup. We got 8930 on the valve body, on the upper valve body. Letter B, and 15 over here. We have 8931 on the front, letter B, and 40 I think it was, yeah, 40. So I'm trying to document all these things as they come in, find out what fits what check ball configurations go with what, because that information is extremely hard to come by. Even when you call ATSG, they're not sure. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble very quickly on a Toyota. Okay, go on to the rebuild. Okay, for the low reverse, we have an O-ring that goes on the outside here. It's fitting awfully loose. I'm going to find something different for here. Got an O-ring here. O-ring inside. Okay, of course the battery went dead. O-ring inside of there. Found an O-ring to fit here. This one fits on this way. Make sure you don't cut the O-ring. This one fits this way. Turn spring, snap ring, clutches. This drum here, make sure check ball is free. O-ring inside. O-ring on the outside. Return spring, snap ring, short end of the taper up, and this would be our clutches for that. O-ring on the outside, another check ball, make sure it's nice and free. Make sure it does seal. So our return spring, make sure the springs go over them little tips. Our snap ring, short end of the taper up. Clutches for that. Let's go ahead and move over there. Got an O-ring here. Alright, come on, get down in there. Okay, for this here, this is our return spring. This piece goes on top, the snap ring goes down inside of here. Short end of the taper up again. You got to find something to fit around here that'll fit down inside of here when you compress that down. I use a C6 direct drum bushing, and I just get it on the outside here, and that's what I use. You use whatever you want. Okay, got that. I guess we can do this one before we move over there. You can do this one in the case if you want to. I usually do it before I put it down in the case because sometimes it can be difficult. There are two different heights of this piston here. So if you end up changing this, make sure that you got the same height. Our return spring. This thin flat snap ring. And I just work it in with the screwdriver. It's easier with the hole in the table because you can set this flat. So I may have to do that. But just push it down and work your snap ring in all the way around. These are our clutches for here. Sealing rings go on the back side here. They are scarf cut. You put grease up inside that groove if you need to hold them up in there. Get the spring out of them so that they're inside just a little bit more. I'll do that in a minute. On our forward drum here. We've got an O-ring here. Another check ball in our piston. Make sure it's free. O-ring here. and an O-ring down here. Return spring, short end of the taper up again. On the front side here we got scarf cut rings again. Here again you can put grease up inside there if you need to hold these up in there. Okay, I'll put all that together in a moment. Go press those all down in the foot press. We'll do our pump. And a lot of this work was already done for me because I bought a new pump. So I didn't have to put the seal in, it already had a seal, it already had a bushing. Our O-ring goes on the outside. Gears go with the dots up. Replace your stator bushings. Line your ports up right here. It'll only line up one way, so you really don't have to worry about it. 10 millimeters here. 7 foot-pounds on the bolts. Okay, I guess I can get all this pressed together and then we shall be back. I don't have a camera at the foot press, so you're not going to be able to see that. Your scarf cut on our rings again. It's also not a bad idea to put your rings up inside of wherever they're going to fit, especially on a Toyota, and make sure that there is not a gap. You're allowed 9 thousandths, I believe it is, but you want pretty much no gap at all. So just make sure it's really good. And then we're good to go there. Do the same thing on your direct drum. The direct drum's really where the problem usually shows up at. And that'll be these ones on the back of this support here. Alright, let me get all this pressed together, tighten these bolts down, and then we'll be back. Okay, we got a cushion plate. Dish is going to face down, and if my clearance is going to come out wrong, it's probably going to be right here, because they had this put together all wrong. So there's no telling what this is going to come out like. I don't know. Looks like it might be okay. It's a tad bit on the tight side, so I'm going to have to find at least 1 or 2 thinner steels for that one. This drum here, let's see what we get. There's no cushion plate on it. It just starts off with the steel. That one is a little bit on the loose side for me. Let's see what this one comes out to. This one is normally fairly loose. We'll leave that where it's at. Let's see if we can swap some of these steels around in here. Maybe if we're lucky. No, we can't because I forgot these are wider. Alright, I'm going to have to come up with a thicker one for this drum and a thinner one for this drum. So let me see what I can come up with and then we'll be back. Alright, we get all of our bearings and races ready to put into our gear train into the case. On the back of the pump you got this washer, the lip faces in. On the overrun drum we got this bearing and race. Goes in this way. Our overdrive spray assembly goes in just like that. This race goes on the back. Bearing and race goes here. Our race goes with the lip side facing out. Bearing and race. Back side here we have the washer, single tab. Tab sits right there. If your kit does not have new washers in it, you probably want to trade it in for one that does. The flat race goes here. Have a race with the lip facing down here. This bearing and race sits in the back here. On the front, we got this bearing and race. Direct drum, we got a washer like this. The recessed side faces down. They've gotten to where they're making this washer where it kind of snaps into place now, but if it doesn't, you're going to want to put plenty of grease to keep this on there. Go ahead and put your drum on top of your forward drum. This is how I set mine down in there. You can set yours in however you want. Let's see. Got this race. Bearing. That's not the right bearing. This bearing. Okay, we got this race, the lip faces up. This race. This bearing sits on the back here. 3 tab washer sits on the back here. The sprag goes with the short side facing this way. If you put it the other way, it's going to be rubbing and it won't lock the right direction. I'm right. I have to double check that. Hit me. I usually mark them. So let me see what we got here. Not feeling well today, so my brain's not working well. We'll make sure it's right. Got a washer here. The recess side is going to face down. Here again, they've gotten to where they're making it where it snaps in. It didn't used to. This one didn't. That just sits on top there. What do we got left? Our other sprag assembly. Okay, there's 2 different washers for back here, depending on what Planet you have. These are for the 6 pinions. This is for the 4 pinions. You got 2 big tabs there. It's got a recess side that faces up. And our sprag race. And our sprag. I'm gonna get down in there, quit fighting me today. There, the race, hub, and a snap ring. On the back side here, we got this washer. This bearing and race is gonna fit down inside the case. This 3-piece bearing and race set looks like that. It's going to sit right here. You want to make sure that this does fit up inside the back of your sun shell here. And make sure that it's sitting down in there all the way. Here we go. Alright, on our piston, we have this here is going to line up in the case. I'll show you where. Let me get this pressed into the case. I got to take this over to the foot press, and that's how I put it in. So let me get this piston in, and we'll change camera angles, and we'll start putting this in the case. Okay, those 2 spots are right here, right here. That piston has to line up here. So we got our bearing, Planet assembly. Now the book shows putting this all down at one time. I don't do it that way. You got our pressure plate, goes on the bottom. Normally right in here is a rattle clip that clips on out here. It goes all the way down. You don't have to have it. Whoever did this before left it out. What am I doing? Upside down. Told you my brain's not working today. Okay, our center support feed port needs to line up in that hole down there. Splines have to spline on the sprag race. Taper snap ring, taper up. Opening of the snap ring at the 6 o'clock. Pretty much. Make sure we're all the way up in that groove. I guess I need to check my clearance on the clutches. Alright, we're okay. The plate. You want your sprag assembly, the deep side facing down. Got here. All right. Apparently whoever had been in here before had flipped these over. Okay, it doesn't specify, but I put the snap ring opening it here. And let's scoot that back a little bit if we can. Move with it right there. Okay, our sun shell. Front planet. There's a sealing ring on the output shaft. I don't never change this. Short end of the taper of the snap ring faces toward us. Goes on the output shaft. Oh, come on. our hub and ring gear. Need our band. Here, we're going to put our band in just like this. Our drum assembly. Alright, drop in there. That sounds down. It's better to lube this up. Especially if your planets had come apart and it's chewed this up, you're going to be sanding a lot of them burrs out of there and off of here. When our bolt holes to line up and the holes down here, don't try to force this thing. If it doesn't go fairly easy, you're going to want to keep cleaning it up, because it will get stuck and then you're screwed. Alright, 12 millimeters, hold that in. Make sure we're lined up. And leave them loose for right now. Or you can tighten them, it doesn't matter. Tapered snap ring, taper up, opening at 6 o'clock or thereabouts again. Okay, the ones that don't have a speed sensor ring up here, you can go ahead and put your planet in. Otherwise, you would have to put your clutches in first and then spline this all down on there. Backing plate goes down first, then our steels. These will only line up one way. A large opening is at the bottom. Some of these would have a rattle clip that goes in here, sitting right down off in there. Most of them don't have it, but if it does, it's where it goes. Opening of your snap ring somewhere about 12 o'clock. Alright, line up our feed ports. This slant here is going to go right there. Our feed ports down here. And my bushing did fit just a tad bit snug. 12 millimeters with the B on them. Alright, 16 foot-pounds. I'm going to go over here.
Hey, Fernando, line 1, Mike. Fernando, line 1, Mike.
17 millimeters on the bottom. $14 millimeters here. Alright, 14 millimeters, 25 foot-pounds. Seventeen's 42. Alright, I gotta get this on the table, change camera angles. On your neutral switches, the ones that you can take apart, go ahead and take these apart and look at how nasty it is. I'm gonna go and clean all this up. I'm gonna take the contacts, I'm gonna very fine sandpaper, polish them up, polish these up, polish that one up, and then gonna put new dielectric grease inside there. And then, oh, broke it. Hopefully I can just put some silicone around there. Let me see if I can get that off without breaking the rest of it. This one's really hard. Usually not quite so hard. Alright. And then up here, this conduit was not around it, so we need to get some conduit around here so that it will not start eating into our wires right here. Also, we want to cover up our vent for the neutral switch here, and we want this to come down through here and come up to here. So I'm going to have to work at trying to get this around there. I want to try to do it without taking this apart, I can spread this inward and take this apart, but I want to try to get it in there without doing that, because I want it to be a nice tight seal on there, and getting it back right can sometimes be difficult. So let me go clean this up and then we'll be back. Okay, I think I've got enough in there that we're going to be okay. And we got our contacts with our springs underneath here. Go ahead and put you some dielectric grease inside of here. It'll kind of lube it up. Put you some up around here, it'll help kind of seal it up. Put our contacts down inside there. Go ahead and dielectric grease up this side of it. Put our seal back down on there. And there's our brake right there. So we're going to put a little dab of silicone right there. Just a little dab will do ya. Alright, put this down. Put our screws back in. Got our gasket goes on the front. This little indicator right here goes on this way. The recessed end faces in. We're just going to leave this loose so we can get this back on there easily. Once we get it in position, we're going to tighten it down, and that'll clamp it down around the linkage. If you'll look right here on this switch, there's a line. Center of this needs to line up with that line in neutral. Alright, we got to put a little bit of tape around our conduit here. Okay, I believe we're ready to start putting the rest of the stuff into the case. On the wiring harness, there's a O-ring on your cable. This is not adjusted properly, and whoever put this originally in, I guarantee you this is not right. When you get on any Toyota, even though this is a Jeep, once you get this into position and adjusted properly, it should be barely sticking out off of there, about probably about that much. And then you're supposed to crimp this in place. Somebody crimped this way the hell up here. This is pulled all the way out. I guarantee you this is not adjusted properly. So we're gonna have to adjust this, and we're not gonna be able to judge by this anymore because I know that's in the wrong spot. On our wiring harness, this is not the right wiring harness, so this is probably not the right transmission either, because this is not an AW4 valve body from what I could tell. Like I said, information is super hard to come by, but it just is not the way it should be. Here's an extra couple wires on here that go for an input speed sensor. This does not have. They had wired this in. They put a ground wire off the speed sensor to bolt to the frame. I'm just going to leave it like that because I don't know what else they've done. I just went in here and I cleaned up. They didn't have any shrink tube on any of the wires. They had wire nuts on there. I got rid of all that. I soldered them together, put shrink tube on it, and got this all wrapped up nice the way it should be with conduit. Hopefully, it was probably working before. Hopefully it's going to work the way it should when we get done. There's no telling what we got here because somebody's been messing with it. Alright, let me change camera angles again, and then we'll put the rest of this together. Okay, I decided not to change camera angles. I think we can see everything that we need to see. If you want to air check everything, this is a low reverse brake. This is the second brake. This is the second coast brake. This one here is the overdrive brake. This is direct. This is forward. And this is the overdrive brake. When you air check this one, you're going to need to put your hand over here and hold the accumulator and spring down inside there because it's going to blow it out. We have a seal. It goes down inside right here. We have the CO accumulator. There's O-ring on it. It goes in first. Inner and outer spring for it. We have the BO accumulator. Spring goes in. 2 O-rings. There's a spring on top. You can get these out. They are a pain. And there's no need to take it out because there's nothing in there. The only time you need to take that off is if you have a broken spring. And I don't think I've ever seen one broken. Inner and outer spring here. This is the C3. Accumulator spring here. This one is the B2. We have the cooler check valve and the spring goes in right there. We have our park actuator. Let's come up here and get a better view of this. Our pivot pin and our deal that sticks it in. We got our spring. There's a little slot that fits in the case right here. That hooked end goes underneath this, and then this sits on top of that. Three 10mm. This has to go around this part of it. Don't forget to tighten your center support bolts down 19 foot-pounds. You are 12 millimeters. Okay, we have our spring, our servo, and they did not give me the servo. Well, there it is in my hand like a dummy. Okay, it's scarf cut. You can put grease in here again if you need to hold that in place. Put a little grease to hold our spring on. 2 O-rings on the cover. These are very easy to cut, so keep your old ones. Hopefully they're not too hard, just in case you happen to cut it. And I just push it in by hand. You can use snap ring pliers to put the clip in if you want. I just pushed it in by hand. On the lever seals, I just use a pocket screwdriver. I get up in underneath there. You'll be able to see the other one easier. And I just pop them out. I don't take the whole linkage out. Just lube it up really good. There's a couple of flat edges on that shaft if need be. You just get your screwdriver and push it around that. And once you get it started, get you a socket that fits around it and just tap it in. Alright, well, I got this flipped up. I can go ahead and put my cable in. $10 millimeter on that. In case you're not able to see it when I do it, the speed sensor has this bracket that goes on it, and it's going to go in that slot right there. And then the the wiring harness has this bracket, and it's going to fit in that spot. Actually, it goes like so. I think I tighten that down. Yeah. Okay, let's do our other lever seal. Try to keep from breaking on this stuff as you roll it around. Okay. Our pin for our band. And there's going to be a snot. We got our little E-clip for that. These love to fly away, so try to be careful with it. If you lose it, you don't have to have both of them. You just take the one off the other end, put it over here, because this is the one that's important. Keeps it from coming out. This one, it ain't going this way, so I don't know why they even put one here. Alright, put our valve body on. Make sure you line your manual valve up on the little tip right there. A lot of people forget to do that. Put our cable up here. Get our bolts in the right spot, and we'll come back and measure. Okay, we'll start at the front up here. Inch 493, and these should all be the same across the top. Fairly close to it. Inch 125. Inch 480, this one's the same. This one should be the same. Inch 126. Inch 480, these should be the same. Inch 124, all three of these should be the same. All right. Seven foot-pounds on the valve body bolts. Move your cam for your throttle pressure down, and then hook this little deal into it. The wiring harness goes up inside of there. White wire goes here, yellow wire goes here, black wire goes here. Our two tubes. make sure we're in neutral. We are. Our filter on. 10 millimeter bolts. Okay, pan. Make sure we're lined up. There we go. $10 for that. Alright, put our neutral switch on, battery died. Our 12mm that holds that in. Line it up with the line. Pretty much about right there. .7/8 on here. Just give it a little tweak. You don't need to get radical at all with this thing. Right there, you feel it start getting tight, just give it a little nudge. You can bend those up. Alright, one last thing, and let's see if I can roll this without breaking everything. Cable is actually supposed to be in there. Wiring harness up here, out the way. Alright, back here. Some kits give you a gasket for back here. I would just silicone it. We have a half moon keeper. The magnet side faces in. We have our notch that keeper has to line up with. Short end of the taper out towards us. 14 millimeters on that. .25 foot-pounds on those. And then our speed sensor is going to go in right there with our keeper and our 10 millimeter. And that's it for this one.